What if the exact moment a nation was born, you were born too, at the stroke of midnight, and because of that, you were given powers that tied you to the destiny of your country? Now imagine finding out that 1,000 others were born with you, all with strange abilities of their own, and your job was somehow to keep them together, while history itself kept trying to rip you apart. Sounds like a superhero story, right? Except it isn't. It's messier, more absurd, far funnier, and more tragic than any Marvel or DC saga. This is the life of Saleem Sinai, the man with a leaky nose, a telepathic gift, and a destiny entangled with India itself. The story begins, as all great family sagas do, not with the hero, but with the grandfather. Dr. Adam Aziz, a man with a large nose and even larger frustrations, is living in Kashmir. One day, as he bends to pray, his nose bumps the ground, and at that moment he decides enough is enough. He abandons prayer and religion altogether, choosing instead to live by science, skepticism, and a slight bitterness about life. This nose of his, mind you, is important. Rushdie never gives you just a body part. He makes it symbolic, and later, hereditary. Dr. Aziz, with his newfound secular spirit, ends up entangled in a family drama that will set everything else in motion. He falls for Naseem, a woman hidden behind a sheet with a hole in the middle. Each time he visits, he sees only a small part of her, an ankle one day, an arm the next, until finally, after enough peep show consultations, he marries her. But this marriage is not bliss. Naseem grows into a domineering matriarch, and poor Aziz is left perpetually irritated, grumpy, and slightly emasculated. Out of this union comes 3 daughters, and among them is Mumtaz, who will later change her name to Amina, and whose life will lead directly to the birth of our midnight hero. Now, before Saleem is even conceived, history crashes in. Partition is tearing India apart. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, people who had lived side by side, are suddenly enemies. Violence is everywhere, and lives are uprooted in a rush of blood and borders. And yet, amid all this chaos, there's still love, marriage, and yes, children. Amina marries Ahmed Sinai, a businessman with dreams bigger than his abilities. The Sinais move to Bombay, and it's here, on the night of August 15, 1947, India's independence, that Saleem Sinai is born. But wait, Saleem is not alone. That midnight hour produces 1,001 children across India, all born in the first hour of freedom, and all mysteriously endowed with powers. The closer to midnight you were born, the stronger your gift. Saleem, born exactly at the stroke of midnight, gets the gift of telepathy. He can hear the thoughts of others. Unfortunately, this power comes with a perpetually runny nose. Yes, the savior of India's children is also the boy with the endless sniffles. But he isn't the only one blessed, or cursed. Also born at the same stroke of midnight is Shiva, a boy of ferocious knees. His gift isn't subtle. His knees are weapons, capable of smashing bones and paving his way to power and glory. Shiva and Saleem, 2 children bound by fate, 2 leaders of this magical generation, but destined for conflict. Now, Saleem, with his telepathy, gathers the children of midnight together in his mind. He becomes the host of a grand conference inside his head, bringing together kids with bizarre powers from across India. It's like a subcontinental X-Men academy, except instead of Professor X, you have a boy with a leaking nose trying to herd them all toward unity. Saleem dreams of them working together, using their powers for the good of India, building a better future as one. But Shiva, oh no, Shiva believes in using power for oneself. His vision is individual glory, strength, and domination. To him, community is weakness, and compromise is foolishness. Saleem's collectivist dream and Shiva's individualist ambition embody the eternal tension within post-colonial nations, whether to rebuild as one or splinter into self-serving parts. Now, if this were only about magical kids, the story might be simple. But this is Midnight's children. And Rushdie is not writing a comic book. He's writing a sprawling, chaotic tapestry of India itself. Which means Saleem's story never stays his alone. It's always entangled with the nations. Through Saleem's eyes and powers, we witness wars, riots, elections, betrayals, and dictatorships. We see leaders rise and fall, and ordinary people crushed in the tide of history. But there's a secret, an earth-shattering secret, about Saleem's birth. At the hospital, at the very stroke of midnight, a nurse, in a fit of idealism or mischief, swapped two babies.
What?
The poor child became the rich child. The rich child became the poor. Saleem, raised in comfort as a Sinai, was not meant for this life. He was meant for poverty. And Shiva, raised in poverty, was meant for privilege. Their destinies were switched, and history has been playing tricks ever since. As Saleem grows, India grows, and just like the country, he too suffers fractures, conflicts, and betrayals. His telepathic powers connect him to the nation's children, but politics intrudes. The rise of Indira Gandhi, the so-called Iron Lady of India, becomes a turning point. When she declares a state of emergency to keep power, Saleem and his fellow children are targeted. The magical generation, the hope of India, is rounded up, sterilized, silenced, crushed. Saleem himself is captured, his powers destroyed, his dream of unity shattered, and Shiva, his nemesis, aligns with power, bending his knees not only to break bones but to enforce the will of authority. The children, once a symbol of hope, are scattered to nothingness. Saleem survives, but he is broken, weary, and scarred. By the time he narrates his story to Padma, a woman who listens with love and exasperation, he is no longer the hero of midnight. He is simply a man who has lived through too much, seen too much, and knows that he himself is crumbling, just like India. His life, his body, his nose, his very identity is falling apart, piece by piece, into dust. And that, in a very chaotic nutshell, is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, a novel that's equal parts history, fantasy, satire, and tragic comedy. This book is not an easy read. It's dense, playful, overwhelming, and sometimes absurd. Rushdie throws everything into it: family drama, national history, religion, politics, even Bollywood-level melodrama, and stirs it together with magical realism. The result? A novel that feels as messy and complicated as India itself. At the heart of it is the allegory. Saleem is India. His body, constantly falling apart, mirrors the nation's fractures. His telepathy symbolizes the attempt at unity. Shiva represents the brutal individualism that colonialism left behind. The children of midnight themselves represent possibility, the hope of a new nation, but their destruction reflects the crushing of dreams under political power. There's also a strong theme of fate versus choice. Saleem's life is defined by accidents: his swapped birth, his powers, his place in history. He is both special and powerless, chosen and doomed. The novel seems to ask, can we ever escape the destiny written for us by history? Or are we just fragments swept along by forces bigger than ourselves? Religious symbolism is everywhere too. Saleem's nose, his constant sniffles, the sheet with a hole that hid his grandmother, the fertility, the sterility. Every image echoes larger religious and cultural associations. The book is a mosaic of allegories, each piece pointing to something larger than itself. And of course, humor. Rushdie's style is irreverent. Even in tragedy, he slips in satire and absurdity. Saleem's runny nose is both ridiculous and tragic. Shiva's knees are both laughable and terrifying. The nurse's baby swap is comic and catastrophic. It's Rushdie's way of showing that history itself is absurd, funny and cruel at the same time. Salman Rushdie, born in Bombay in 1947, the very year of independence, was in many ways destined to write this book. Published in 1981, Midnight's Children won the Booker Prize and then the Booker of Bookers as the best of all Booker winners. It cemented Rushdie as one of the most important post-colonial voices in literature. Rushdie himself has lived a life shaped by politics and controversy, especially with his later novel, The Satanic Verses. But Midnight's Children remains his masterpiece, a novel that doesn't just tell a story but captures the spirit of a nation at its birth, with all its beauty, contradictions, and chaos. So if you're looking for a book that isn't just a story but an entire experience, Midnight's Children is it. It'll confuse you, overwhelm you, make you laugh, and break your heart. It's magical realism at its most ambitious, and a reminder that sometimes, to capture reality, you need a little bit of magic. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.